Welcome to Chris and Jen in the Morning,
where it's always morning somewhere.
I'm Chris.
And I am Jen. And we are so excited to have you with us today.
When we started recording, I was afraid I was undercaffeinated. And now that we've been going at this for an hour, I am feeling perfectly caffeinated.
It's warm-ups, you know? You wish you would have been drinking now?
Yeah, where's my beverage now?
Have Ollie bring it in.
Yeah, bring it on in, Butler Ollie.
Well, I'm super excited because in a week and a half, 2 weeks, somewhere in between, time is a mystery, you'll be here.
That's right. I will physically be within your presence.
And then I can bring you a drink.
Ooh, sip, sip.
Sip, sip. I love that you're coming. You're coming because we are going to the Pride Kelso.
That's right.
Festival. And let's talk about when that festival is. It is on October 4th. It is at St. Martin in the Fields at the edge of South Lake and Keller. It is free, but you do have to register.
Yes.
So if you can register day of, but it would be actually really helpful for you to register ahead of time because that helps from a planning standpoint. You can go to Pride Kelso to register. If you click on the events tab and you scroll to the bottom, it's at the bottom. There's a big blue button that says register. This is the first annual Pride Kelso Festival, which we are so excited about.
That's right.
Chris growing up here, this being where I now reside. We are super excited to see our community embracing the LGBTQ plus community. We are going to have a booth at the Pride Kelso Festival as well.
We sure are.
So
it's our first booth experience.
It is. I mean, all of my I'm not a graphic designer skills are going into a banner.
And you've only made about 20 renditions of this, and I feel like I am not helpful with any of the feedback that I send you. I'm sorry.
You know, I think stylistically we look at things differently, but we both have a very similar emotional reaction to things. So for different reasons, we're like, I don't know if this is really it, but we're going to have to land the plane. I'm going to pick it back up today and we'll land it.
Gonna land that plane that we have just been letting glide.
Better do it quickly because it is coming up.
It is approaching.
I did, however, order some stuff for our booth, and I am super excited about that. So if you are in the DFW area or will be on October 4th, please come and visit us. Check it out. We're prepared for all weather. There will be free water at the event. The event is free. There's food vendors. There's over 100 different vendors and sponsors that will be there. And it is a fun, family-friendly event. And we are just super excited to be there and to meet all kinds of folks and to see you there, hopefully. So please, 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 Chris will be here in town. Come say hello to us. There will be an opportunity, if you're interested, to record a little something and you could be featured in some of our podcast materials, but only if you want to. And some great photo ops and just some great community and a little bit of a giveaway opportunity too. So super excited about that.
Yeah, and if you have not seen our episode or listened to our episode with community builders, we would highly encourage you to check it out. We actually had the opportunity to chat with the organizers of the event, April and Shayna Dreisen, who
They are such amazing people, just such incredible humans.
They really are. And they kind of had this inspiration and have really picked it up and ran with it. And it's been great to see the community show up for them. But they talk a little bit about kind of the inspiration. They talk a little bit about what's going to be happening. So if you haven't checked out that episode yet, add it to the list of things to listen to.
We are super excited about it, and we are super excited to see you there. And for those of you that can't attend, we are excited to tell you all about it afterwards. And maybe this will be the time that I can get Chris to go live. So, stay tuned in for that.
All right.
So, what we are here to talk about today is actually one of my favorite topics, something near and dear to me. We're going to talk about affirmations today. But before we get into that, let's do a gratitude moment.
Yes. So my gratitude moment for this week is actually you, your family, my husband, because you surprised me. You all put a very big surprise together to have you show up in New York City for my birthday. I was in the kitchen putting things away, and all of a sudden, Jen comes around the corner, and I almost had a heart attack. Like, seeing someone like outside of what you were expecting, like it was so exciting. We had such a great weekend. I decided last minute taking off time from work so that we could spend time together. And so not only did we get to celebrate my birthday, but we also did a lot of like first time things for you here in the city, for me in the city, for Frank in the city. Like, it was just a wonderful experience in totality. And the fact that you and Frank like were planning this, and that your family kept the home base going while you were away, like, I just so appreciate y'all, and it was such a good celebration. So thank you all so much for helping make my birthday so special this year.
Happy birthday. I am just really impressed with Frank and myself for keeping a secret because it was really, really hard to do. We just wanted to burst out and tell you. Frank played it so perfectly. And the fact that it all worked out so that I could sneak into your apartment without you knowing, you're never going to like sleep easy again. Jen might just pop up out of nowhere. No, I do hope you sleep easy. But
Sleeping is not usually a problem for me.
that's how we're different. But it was just the most amazing time, and I'm so grateful that I was able to be there and to celebrate your birthday with you and spend time with you because that always just lifts my soul and my spirit too.
Yeah,
So adventuring is always more fun when I get to do it with you.
that's right.
We were sad to not have Ace and Alex and the dogs there too, but really exciting just to get to spend a little extra time with you.
Agreed.
And I have so many things to be grateful for from that experience, but I think, I would be remiss if I did not express my gratitude for the people that make museums possible. To go visit the Museum of Natural History, and it was my first time being at that museum, and I had, let's just say, some really incredible experiences walking through some of those exhibits. And
Yeah.
for me, it was just like incredibly educational. It was actually like, and I don't know how to say this without sounding flippant, but like it really was a whole shift in thinking for me. And I am incredibly grateful to have been able to have that exposure, get that experience, have that kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
And I know a few weeks back we talked about museums and going to museums and what you take away from that. And I'm really grateful for that conversation, which I know you brought to the table, which pushed us to go, why haven't we done this? So just, it was a life enriching experience for me. I could have spent, I don't know, 50 times the amount of time we
Yes.
were able to spend there.
Because we were there for like 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours,
Yeah.
and it still wasn't enough.
Well, we intended to be there the whole day, but then you guys side quested with me on a beautiful nature walk of the Upper West Side
Yep.
and kind of through the park, and that was magical. And I got to take a million photos of birds, even though I didn't have my camera with me, and that was amazing as well. So, just that opportunity to stop and enjoy all of the moments around you that surround you every day.
Yeah. I mean, it was a whole lot of like micro joys just like
Yeah.
bursting all over the place. It was so much fun. Um, just to like get to see you kind of experience things and react. And, I mean, a lot of the exhibits are absolutely gorgeous, breathtaking. I think one of the things that was super interesting to me was we came to the end of one, or I guess it was more of the middle of one of the exhibits, and they actually kind of laid out why they've put together the exhibits the way they have, like in the flow
Yeah.
for it. And I've never really, I guess, like, I haven't really ever thought about like the layout or planning of like a museum or the experience. But it makes sense that you would totally do that. So that way, as people are moving through it, they're like understanding the story or understanding the time frames. Like it was like inspirational. So it was a great time.
Experiential storytelling magic at its finest.
Yes.
Just beautiful. So if you think museums are just a bunch of old, dusty artifacts and like history textbooks, let me just tell you that was not my experience at the Museum of Natural History. It was amazing. So super grateful for that experience. If there are a bunch of others that I could talk about, but we'll say those for next time.
That's
But
right.
today we want to talk about affirmations.
Yes. And you actually this week have been, well, you've been working on this project for a while. I know that affirmations are a important part of your day, and you started working on this project that has to do with affirmations. So, do you want to share a little bit about what that project is and kind of what was the inspiration for you to create this thing?
Yeah, so we recently just released the first in a video series called Job Search Affirmations with Jen. It's a Chris and Jen in the morning production. And, I think what I didn't share when I released this is that all of the photos in this affirmation video are photos that I've taken. So this was really a labor of love and art for me. But the reason that I decided to release this series, and we've just released the first in this series, so it's a series of quick 3 to 5 minute videos, affirmations specifically focused on job search. I have spent most of my career in talent acquisition and recruitment and getting a front hand seat at watching people, helping people go through the job search process. When you are in talent acquisition and recruiting, usually you're looking to fill a job. You're not
Hmm.
looking to help someone else find a job, which is
Yeah.
a very different mindset. And people I think don't realize that. They think, "Oh, well you're a recruiter or you're in recruiting or you lead recruiting, so like find me a job." And usually it's like I have a job and I'm looking for people that meet the
Right.
criteria of that job. And so there've been many times throughout, the many years of my career where somebody has come to me in a area that I am not in. I don't have any jobs in that area. And, they're looking for a job and they just can't seem to get that right connection. And I'm not well connected there. So I could give them some kind of like broader tips, but
Hmm.
it's not like I can just go give them a job. And people
Right.
just think you're walking around with jobs in your back pocket to hand out. And I really wish I was because, I have been there myself throughout my career in a place where I just was really unhappy and wanting to make a change. And applying to jobs and not hearing back and just feeling like, man, like, am I really that undesirable? Am I really that unwanted? And, I was going through this years ago and I was talking to my therapist about it. And one of the things that he said to me is like, you need to be doing affirmations about this because the self-talk that you're having in your head is not good self-talk. And you would
Yeah.
think like, hey, I'm in talent acquisition. I would know how to be, in a good headspace when looking for a job. But I actually think that sometimes like you're your own worst enemy
It's
when
true.
it's like the carpenter's house, that always needs the work done,
That's
right?
right.
And so I had already been doing some affirmations
Hmm.
and I started on my morning walks doing these affirmations specifically around my job search and how I was feeling about myself and how I was kind of losing hope that I would find something that really made me happy. And, the first, probably week or two that I did these affirmations, I was just like, I don't even feel like these words are words that I can claim for myself. And I remember talking to my therapist about that. And I said, like, how many times does it take for this to fix me? Like,
How long do I take this prescription for?
yeah, how many pills do I have to take?
Yeah.
How long do I have to do this before I'm finally fixed? And he just kind of, chuckled a little bit in a kind way and was like, that that's not how this works.
What?
But I think for me, it was continuing to put myself in that position where I was giving myself a different frame of reference and different
Yeah,
words to think about. And the fact that I was willing to meet myself where I was at and then say, I will pull you up. You know, it's okay that you feel this way, but we're going to choose a different way to feel. And we're just going to keep doing this until it finally feels comfortable. And we talked about that a little bit too. Like this, I just don't even believe the words that I'm saying. And he was like, well, you just keep saying them until it finally starts to feel like you do.
yeah,
And so for me, that was incredibly helpful. It was incredibly meaningful. But what I noticed is that it changed how I was showing up and it changed the energy that I was bringing to the conversations I was having with people, which is really what I wanted, right? Because, I, maybe me more than most people. But when you are thinking or feeling a certain way, people can read that energy from you. And
absolutely.
the energy that you bring in really does change the reaction that other people bring back. And so I say all the time, like, if you don't believe in yourself, then why would you expect anyone else to believe in you?
Yeah,
And it's hard after like knowing that you would be great at something and like not even getting a call back. That's like really hard after a while to deal with. But you just have to keep yourself in the right mental space. And
yeah,
I have found that affirmations are a great way to do that. So since I had a little bit of time not working and some extra mental capacity, and I really wanted to lean in to my creative side and also be able to give something back to, all of the people that have made my career what it is. And I really have done what I do because I believe that I can make a positive impact on a point in somebody's life that is just really vulnerable,
yeah,
and I wanted to give back. And so this was my way of being able to do that, taking my newfound podcast microphone equipment and skills uh, and some of the editing skills that our producer has been trying to teach me, although he is way better at it than I am. And my camera and my love of taking pictures and pulling that together into something that I can give to somebody else. So, if you are in a place where you are looking for a job or you know someone else who is looking for a job, go check out the Affirmations series. It's Job Search Affirmations with Jen. It's on our YouTube channel. We've got a playlist for it. And share it. It's like I'm not selling anything. It is just something that I wanted to do to help give back. You can listen to them and repeat them as often as is helpful for you,
yeah,
but maybe even just in your car before you go into an interview. Each of the releases will focus on a different feeling that people commonly have as they go
okay,
through the job search process. So the first one really focused on the feeling of frustration and how frustrating it can be when you're looking for a job. So many people I know have been looking for a job and been really expressing their frustration. And so that was the first one, but there are plenty of others coming. So, yeah, super excited to share
yeah.
that.
I think this project was great because I feel like it brings the two things that I see from you, like this creative side. You love photography, you love like getting out into adventure mode and capturing those sceneries, the birds, the waterfalls, all of that stuff. And so like I feel like this provided that opportunity for you to put that stuff into a creative outlet, but also this science, the neuroscience around it. It kind of
Yes.
like brings those two together, which I think you are a huge fan of and huge proponent of. And so this project really allowed you to bring those things into a singular place. And you now have something out there that you are super proud of, that you've created from start to finish. And it is so amazing. Please, 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 if you are in a place where you need to change that self talk, this is a great place to get started. Like Jen said, more will be coming out. I do want to dive a little bit deeper though into the neuroscience behind affirmations, because you introduced affirmations to me probably about 2 years ago. And so you and I have had several conversations around them. You've actually introduced me to some. So let's kind of start at the basics, if you will. Neuroscience is a basic of like of affirmations and how they actually help in the neuroscience perspective of it.
Yeah, and of course, when I was sending you my thoughts and notes and articles and stuff to read ahead of our podcast, of course, you knew that I was going to take this in a neuroscience direction because I'm just so fascinated with how our brains work and like the mechanics behind that and how that impacts us. But I think to begin with, we have to talk about what is an affirmation. I think people often use the terms affirmation and mantra interchangeably. Um, Technically, the definition of a mantra is like a spiritual rooted phrase.
Okay.
Often it doesn't even it's not even words that are like sensible or legible, but it has this like deep spiritual meaning and it's something that you chant to connect spiritually. And an affirmation that is words that you say. It's a story that you are telling yourself to affirm something that feels authentic to you, that you want to believe you deserve or will help you become the person that you want to be.
Yeah.
So that's what an affirmation is. And scientists have studied how the brain engages actually when using affirmations to respond to stressors. So, I love it when they like actually watch what's happening within the brain. And so there was this study that they did, and they watched and saw that actually when encountered with stressors, when affirmations are used as a tool to try to react or manage that, it changes the stress response that you have. So it engages different areas of the brain that work together to respond to stress instead of just we've talked about like the amygdala hijack and
Yep.
where you kind of narrow down and all you can think about is that one threat and how to avoid the threat. And actually using affirmations engages other parts of the brain too, so that they all coordinate together and you can have a more robust response. It reduces the tendency to linger on negative thoughts and feelings. When you use affirmations as a regular tool, you will find that you have trained yourself to more quickly move towards the positive thoughts instead of lingering on those negative thoughts and feelings that you have. We all have
Yeah.
them.
We
We've
do.
talked about that in past episodes. And feelings are signals, they're not your enemy. I
That's
really
right.
believe that to be true. Affirmations help you pay attention to those signals, but put them in their proper place
Yeah.
so that they don't become that voice that resonates. They also saw through this study that they were doing that affirmations increase resilience and optimism. So for me, like if you believe it, then you can be it. If you see it, you can be it. If you believe it, you can be it. It changes really how you show up when you do these affirmations. And they saw that through, this MRI imaging study that they did. But it changes that energy that you're putting out, which influences the energy that somebody else is going to
Correct.
bring back towards you. So, sometimes people think, oh, affirmations, that's like that woo woo magic stuff. And like it really isn't. It's science.
Right. It's science. It really is like through these studies, they have found the biological responses that our bodies and our brains just automatically kick into through using them. And I think that to me is super fascinating because, like you said,
Mhm.
we've talked about all those other like stress responses that we have. And sometimes you can get stuck in those. And this is one of those tools that you could leverage to help kind of shift your mind and maybe get if you feel like you're stuck in that space, this can help move you back into a more productive. um
Yeah, when I first started doing affirmations, I literally like just Googled on YouTube. I don't know. Do you Google on YouTube? I just did a
you
search.
use the search function on the YouTube.
I did do that. And I found some affirmations, and there were some that like didn't resonate for me. And I was like, okay, skip, skip. And then there were some that really did. And so you have to find something that feels authentic to you. And I started listening to them because I was thinking, you know what, if I have these thoughts that go on repeat in my head that I've allowed other people to plant in my head through
Yep.
childhood and growing up, then why can't I write the story that I wish I heard in my head instead.
Mm.
And so it was just kind of this like light bulb moment that I had of why don't I start telling myself what I want to hear instead of the words that somebody else put there that
Yeah.
I don't like. And so, I wanted to turn the dial up on that voice, but I also wanted that voice to be better because my inner dialogue had learned some bad habits. And so, that for me was really important. I think about so there's a book and I can't remember what it was. They made a movie out of it too. In the story, there's a woman who is taking care of the children or this child, and she tells the child, "You is kind, you is smart, you is special." Do you know what book I'm
Oh, The
talking about?
Help.
Yes, that's it, The Help. And that moment in that book always resonated with me because this woman absolutely knew the power of the words that she was speaking over this child and giving this child a voice in their head that they could hear as they grew up over time, really rooting them in things, of value. And to me, that's what affirmations do. And you can it is absolutely great to start them, from a young age, but you can teach old dogs new tricks. And so um, you can give yourself the right words now, but just as simple as like you're kind, you're smart, you're special. Those are things who doesn't want to believe that about
Right.
themselves.
Exactly. And I think you had recommended another book to me about boundaries. So, Set Boundaries, Find Peace, A Guide to Reclaiming Yourself by Nedra Glover Tawwab. And in the book, it's about like the thing that I appreciated about the book is it talks about boundaries in the space of for yourself, with your family, with your friends, with your colleagues. Like it just runs the gamut. But one of the things she does talk to in there is about your self talk, the things that
Yeah.
you hear yourself saying. Because if you can't be kind to yourself and have that positive talk for yourself, it's going to be hard to hold other people accountable to not like speak those things over you, I guess. And so I love this idea of like you have to change your story
Yeah.
first because it does change the energy. You show up differently, you engage differently, and that just like changes the entire environment and how you start to perceive your day. And so I totally appreciate that exact perspective of the things that people have said to us before, the things that we have kind of allowed to become our story. We should question those things. We should be looking to see, do I still identify with that? Is that
Yeah.
still a value? And I think that was one of the things that one of the articles that you sent over I found like super interesting, like sparked my curiosity was around this idea of they should be personal to you. They should reflect your values. And so that leads me to like well, what are my values? What are the things that I want to make sure that I am telling myself, but also that how I'm being perceived by others, whether that's through conversation, whether it's, any type of interaction.
Well, and I think you have to be gentle with yourself and meet yourself
Yep.
where you're at while also pushing yourself outside of your
Yeah.
comfort zone because change does not happen inside your comfort zone. And that's just if you say that it does, you are not being honest with yourself. It is our human nature to be uncomfortable with change.
Right.
And I think in the work world, we like to tell ourselves, oh, yeah, we're great with change. We're fine with change. It's totally comfortable. It's just not.
I'm a change expert.
You can be a change expert doesn't mean it feels comfy. But, how we have to be kind to ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think there was some, inner child work that I don't know why I did it's what it's called, inner child work that my therapist was telling me that I should do. And I was like, I really don't want to do that. And so some of these affirmations were like focused on your inner child. And I tried to listen to them and I was like, I just am not ready. I can't do that work. And so I was like, find a new one. There's plenty out there, guys. But, sometimes I'll be listening to an affirmation and there's like a series that I like where I think Kenneth is the name of the person that does them. And there are some times where he says things that just don't quite resonate with me, but I like the vibe that he's going for. So I do think it's really important that you take agency of your affirmations. And if you're listening to somebody else and repeating affirmations, if they just aren't quite for you, that you make them your own. So, like, let's talk about how do you do affirmations? There is no one right way or to do an affirmation. So it's not a like a formula. It's more like a recipe, if you
Yeah.
will. They need to be positively focused. Obviously, they are affirming statements, so they need to be
It's in the name.
it's in the
They
name.
need to affirm.
They've got to be positively focused. They need to be meaningful to you, as you were saying, because if they don't feel relevant or important, or like something you aspire to, or, then that's not going to do anything for you.
Right.
They need to feel authentic. So I can become, I aspire to be, or I aspire to feel are things that I will say when I'm repeating an affirmation that I just don't feel like I can get there. I'll share some examples. And then you just have to repeat it until you believe it. So sometimes you believe it and then you start to not believe it again and you have to repeat it again. There's no like, it's not a magic pill. There's not a formula of how many sessions you have to do. Unfortunately, it's a little less tangible than that. But I can tell you that for me, this has really changed my mindset and it's changed how I think and it's changed my resilience. And when something gets me down, how quickly I can recover. And I find that when I've been kind of lazy about not doing this for myself, then that's a little bit harder for me. And so I just have to
Yeah.
get back to it. But some examples personally for me in tailoring some of the affirmations to myself. So one of the things I started doing was going for a walk and doing my affirmations while I was moving. Because for me, I'm like a kinetic learner. It
Okay.
helps me not get distracted, helps keep all the side quests down so I can really focus on what it is that I'm saying, and not like tune out, be thinking about something else while I'm saying something. And so in motion is always good for me. Not a surprise to those of you that know me. And I was back when I first started doing my morning walk, which I need to get back to. I would really wanted to incorporate more movement, but I was not loving that I was doing it in the moment. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
going for a 5K walk in the morning,
Yeah.
just sometimes you just don't feel like making time for that energy. And so, instead of saying, like, as I was doing my affirmations, there was one that was like, I am so grateful for this opportunity to go on this walk. And I was like, I'm just really grateful I have legs that I can walk. Like, that's where I'm gonna meet myself at today because
Yeah.
I don't feel very grateful that I have this opportunity to go for this walk. I actually feel kind of cranky about the fact that I'm on this walk. But instead of feeling cranky about the fact that I'm on this walk, I'm going to be grateful that I have legs that are working, that are carrying me on this walk. That I can be grateful about. So that's one way to tailor them to
So
yourself.
finding something that like you can identify with, something that
Yeah.
you can like be in that headspace or oh, it's a
Baby steps.
baby steps exactly. I was going to say like a progression.
Yeah. Baby steps with Bob. It's baby steps. Baby steps to the elevator.
Yeah.
It really is because you meet yourself where you're at. You're kind to yourself. You allow yourself to go on that journey because then I really did get to a place where I really enjoyed going for the walk and it was time for me to kind of relax and settle myself and have time to myself and give myself positive energy before the day started, which makes a huge difference. Kenneth, who I mentioned, one of the series of affirmations that I really liked, he would sometimes say this affirmation of like, I was put here on this earth to XYZ. And that didn't really resonate with me. And so instead, I would just, when I repeated it back, change it to say, while I am on this earth, I want to XYZ.
Okay.
Um, so just ways also like sometimes I'll be doing an affirmation that I like, that has a statement in it like of like I am calm and I am relaxed, but I'm not feeling calm or relaxed. And so instead of saying I am calm and relaxed, I'll say I want to be calm and relaxed,
Yeah.
or I am breathing in calm energy. So you just kind of tweak it so that it feels authentic, which is really important because if you're saying things that you don't resonate with, it's your brain is not going to um, engage you to actually start feeling differently.
Right. So now so you were talking about how you used to do these in your like during your morning walk. Did you find yourself like saying them again throughout the day, whether there was a challenge or whether you found
Yeah.
yourself in a headspace you were like, "Oh, I don't want to be in this headspace." It's not
Yeah,
so it's not like just a morning thing.
absolutely. But I do think while I am not a part of the 5 a.m. club,
Neither am I. Let's be very clear. And I am not either.
I would never choose that book to read like some people I know. Um, I'm not really throwing shade at you. I'm just teasing, but
I mean, it got really shady over here.
um, I think for me, being intentional about the kind of energy that I want to start my day with instead of being swept
Right.
up by the energy that the day brings to me
Uh-huh.
changes the way that I receive things. And, we talked about how affirmations can impact your resilience. Like it helps you not perceive, everybody has their perception of something. And like sometimes the problem is less about what's going on and more about how we're primed up to perceive
Yeah.
something. And you can take something that's small and blow it into something totally huge through perception, right?
I don't know who does that. Like,
Or
who
you
does
can
that?
take something really big and make it less impactful through perception
Right.
and like de escalate it. And so I think starting your day with affirmations absolutely sets you up to have an intentional tone that you bring to the day. And so I found that to be helpful. I would sometimes do them on my drive into the office. I also will absolutely do them in the middle of a panic attack, or when I'm starting to feel really worked up or anxious,
Uh-huh.
or back to the feel, pause, plan, act. In the moment of pause, I feel affirmations are a fantastic thing to do to kind of get a
For
handle
sure.
on your feelings, and sort of put yourself back in charge of how you want to feel or think.
So as you're kind of talking about that, it's ongoing. So it's not, as you've said before, it's not like, okay, recite this 100 times and you will forever be in this headspace.
You got it.
And right, exactly. It's not that.
No, it's like ocean waves, right? They come in and then the tide rolls back out and
Yeah,
then it always rolls back in again.
exactly.
So,
But I think that's a perfect explanation because that's also how our days go, right? Like some
yeah,
days it's very easygoing, calm, quiet. We're able to, you know, work our way through our days. But then there's other times where it just feels maybe a little chaotic or there's things that you weren't expecting and it causes you to go into a headspace or it potentially puts you into a panic attack. Like these are tools that you can then pull out and kind of help redirect that energy.
yeah, and even practicing these kinds of things frequently doesn't mean that you're 100% of the time going to
Right.
show up in the way that makes you proudest. So, often I'll say, when I'm really proud of how I'm showing up, here's how I choose to think about this or what. But I also acknowledge that just because I have attained that at a moment in my life doesn't mean that that's how I'm always going to show up. We're just not on top of it all the time. And frankly, sometimes it just takes a lot of energy and effort to master a tough situation. You, just because you did it once doesn't mean, you're forever more going to do that,
Exactly.
which I think is part of the science behind affirmations are not just something that you should do in a reactive place, but they really are something that are good to add in to a regular practice because it helps set you up for success when things happen that we
Right.
don't expect, which is all of the time,
Well,
right?
and it's just, our brains are a muscle. It is just like, whenever we need to pick up something heavy, you just don't walk over to the heaviest object and can pick it up and move it. Like you build up
Yeah.
to that. And so I think whenever you are in a space where you can reflect on these things in a meaningful and purposeful way, it is like exercising the brain and allowing it to be in a space of learning and absorbing versus like being, in the thick of it, trying to change the way that you're approaching it. Like, I do believe it is something that you have to embrace and do both when it's difficult, but where that training happens is more in that space where your brain it's not perceiving threats, it's not perceiving it's in danger. And so I love that you started your day with these, and whether you're walking or in your car ride to work, like, that is a those are times and spaces where we have the brain space. The brain, most of us can, those are good spaces for us to do that.
Yeah. And you're right, it is a muscle. I love that, analogy because, it's like I used to be a runner, and then I gave that up after an injury and, not sad to have given that up. But, 15 years ago when I used to be a runner, like I I got exhausted climbing the subway steps when I was in New York. So,
Yeah.
like, those are muscles I have not been engaging. You can't just expect that if you don't keep it up, that, those muscles are going to remain strong. So, same thing with affirmations. It's just such a good analogy.
Yeah. So have you found, like, as you have embraced this, like, have they changed? Like, have you seen some of the things that you have engaged with, like, evolve?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still have some of my favorite go tos.
Mhm.
I love something that's like short and quick. But, I think it depends on the situation that you're encountering. And that's a part of why I made these affirmations specifically to the job search is that I felt like I was having to pull together things specific to how I was feeling in the
Huh.
job search. And so going through and identifying like what are all of the feelings that, the people that I know are telling me they're experiencing during job search. And then like how do I specifically combat those feelings? There's a lot of positive feelings, but there's often a lot of negative feelings. And how do I combat those feelings? What kinds
Yeah.
of things do I say? And so, just depending on what it is that I am like wanting to focus on. I may go look for an affirmation that's specific to that or sit down and write out some affirmations. Take some time really thinking about what it is that you are feeling and what it is that you're wanting to feel. And I'm not super great at forcing myself to think about how I'm feeling, which is why it's good for me to do while walking. But I think there are a lot of affirmations out there to get started with that are just like, you know, common everyday things that are
Yeah.
healthy. Not every affirmation that you say has to be addressing, something negative that you're feeling that you
Yeah.
need to change. It can just be like reinforcing or affirming, positive things as
Right.
well. So if you're going, okay, right, how do I get started? Identify what you want to focus on. There's something specific you want to focus on, identify that. If it's really just, I want to be in a more positive mindset, then great, that's what you want to focus on. Find inspiration. So this could just be like going to Pinterest. Is anyone Pinterest anymore? Instagram, looking up positive affirmations, go to YouTube.
I
You
wonder if
know,
Reddit has any. I'll have to look it up.
um, but this is find where your inspiration is because there are a lot of people putting a lot of great inspiration out there. Don't be afraid to tailor them to yourself, like we've talked about. So if you are repeating somebody else's series of affirmative statements or affirming statements, it's no there's no like affirmation police that are going to come and be like, oh, you said that differently. So give yourself permission to make it your own, and then involve your senses to make it more effective. So for me, I like to actually say it out loud. I'm sure my neighbors think I'm, maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows if my neighbors are even paying attention as I
You're
walk
not
around and
doing
talk
it
to
for
myself?
them.
I'm not. But I like to say it out loud because speaking it, feeling my mouth move, and then also hearing it back when I say it out loud is helpful for me in really like thinking about it or
Yeah.
staying focused on it. I also like to be in motion while I'm doing it because that helps me stay present in the moment. Some people really like to write them down because they feel like that's helpful. I know people who like burn a specific candle or use aromatherapy or, to help kind of set that like tone. And then, you know, quickly you can pull yourself back into this positive state by engaging those senses. But, involve more than just like reading
Right.
something and it will help you even more. So it doesn't have to be a 20-minute ordeal. There's some like 20, 40, there's like an hour long
Oh, wow.
thing out there on, I mean, you think I can stay focused for that long? It's not going to happen. Which is
So
sort of
that's
ironic.
well, I mean, that's right. That's finding one that works for you. That is finding the right, like,
They can be a couple of minutes. I'm not asking you to invest, a huge amount of time. They are just as effective if they're 2 minutes, um, or 5 minutes as they are if they're like 20 minutes.
yeah. So so that's like in how like getting started with like the affirmations in totality for the one that you just released around job search and feeling frustrated. Like, why would someone pick that one up? And like, who is that made for? As you think about like those feelings of frustration when you were in the job search process, like who should be going from this video over
Yeah.
to that
I mean,
affirmation?
I think if you are looking for a job or making a change in your life and you're in this place where you just feel frustrated, whether it is frustrated with yourself, frustrated with somebody else, frustrated because there's a lack of control over all of the situation, which is
Yeah.
just our reality and yet can be really frustrating.
Yeah.
And you're wanting to not be at the mercy of those frustrating feelings. I think it's a good quick, I think it's like 3 minutes or something like that. It's a quick little exercise to take yourself through. If you are, replying to a ton of jobs and not hearing back, or you're getting ghosted, which so many people are these days, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um, or if you have just gotten rejected for a job you were super excited about, and that can be really frustrating. I think the intention is that it helps you go from this feeling of frustration to saying things that are really kind to yourself and giving you a different energy to start channeling. And, when you have interacted with people who are really frustrated about something, which could be totally fair of them to be frustrated, there's like an energy that they're putting off that, isn't always as magnetic. And so I think being able to take yourself from frustration, even when it's really valid and warranted, to a different emotion, um, is is beneficial when you are looking for a job and wanting people to say, "Oh, come sit at my table." So, just kind of good hygiene to prepare yourself to bring the right energy into a conversation. It could be that, you're really frustrated with your current job. And so they're asking you, why would you leave? And then if you tell them out of frustration, what's going on, or you, even if you don't give them details, if you just express this frustration,
Yeah.
while fair, that can be off putting. So I think it's one of those emotions that when you're going through the job search is important to get a handle on because it's not as magnetic, to other people to say, "Oh, come sit down at my table. You're really frustrated. I want to share in that with you." Even though it's a totally fair thing to feel and we all
Right.
have it,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. I will say that when you had posted it and shared that it was live, I was actually in the office. And so when I had a few free minutes, I went and found it and turned it on and had it playing in the background as I was working on something, which probably not the right way to engage with affirmations. But I will say, like, I listened through it once and was like, wow, that was like really just peaceful and very calming. And so then I went back and I watched it again. Uh, and so some of those views are from us. But then I truly like engaged with it, and it just kind of felt like, not that I was like having a bad day or anything like that. It just kind of brought this piece kind of back into my day and just kind of helped me like reground myself. And like, I do have agency over my emotions. I do have agency over, how I, you know how I want to show up and kind of find balance throughout those things, acknowledging the feelings, understanding that they are going to come. I love how you said like a wave, because I do. I totally feel that way. They come in, they go out, and it's just understanding that and kind of embracing it. So in that moment, not necessarily something I needed or like was looking for, but it did just bring this like peace and calm into my day. So I'm so
Good.
glad that you are getting this outlet and you are putting it out there. I do think people want it, need it. I'm excited that we're getting to, put it out there for them, and I'm so proud of you for doing it because I know
Oh,
it's been a labor of love for you. So great job. Love it.
thank you. Thank you. I mean, I just am so grateful for the people that have put stuff out there that I have been able to benefit from. And I wanted to pass that on and pay it forward. So if this is for you, check it out. If this doesn't resonate, but affirmations is still something that you're thinking about, then like, we've talked about some of my favorites in the past, but,
Yep.
like, literally just type into Google or into YouTube affirmations, positive affirmations, morning affirmations, 5-minute affirmations, whatever it is you're looking for, and then listen to a few and find one that works for you, because they absolutely they do help me when I choose to participate in them consistently, to bring a kind of energy to my day that helps me actually enjoy life more. And that's really what we're all about. We're
Right.
just about figuring out how to take this limited amount of time that we have here on this earth and really get to enjoy it more.
Yeah, and I would encourage, even if you don't think you need affirmations or you're not interested in affirmation, like just go listen to it. Go look at the beautiful pictures.
Oh, yeah. Check out the pictures that I took. I have taken all of these photos. So you'll see that's actually what's taking me most of the time. Well, that and getting the words to appear at the right time. That's very frustrating. But
So you were practicing while you were creating.
like going through and going, which of these pictures do I like the best? And
Yeah.
so all of those are pictures where I was in adventure gen mode and going and taking photos. So go see the world through my eyes too.
Yeah, so really like a journey of like you being encouraged to by your therapist to, go find and engage in how to change kind of that self-talk, identifying what you were looking for, kind of sorting through all of the different options that search engines brought back to you and finding ones that were inspirational to you, now moving into this space of being able to create and post your own. Like, I'm so proud of you. Thank you for sharing all of this with us. If this resonates with you, we want to hear from you. If you have some affirmations that you really enjoy, please share those with
Yeah,
us.
please do.
So you can do that in a few different ways depending on the platform that you're listening to us on. You can drop it in the comments. You are always welcome to reach us via email at chrisjeninthemorning@gmail.com. You can leave a voicemail or text us at 940-278-8129.
And you also can follow us on all of our social media platforms. We are at Chris and Jen ITM. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, I think Pinterest, actually. We're just sort of all over the place. Um, and Chris, we're even on Reddit.
We are.
And so we would love to stay engaged with you there. And until next time, be kind to one another and let's make it a great week.
Bye, everyone.